it still increases, and that's another thing that we shall be discussing right there. What next for Chelsea, probably ahead of all those moments right there. Now, that's where I want us to start from, as of course a lot of things take twist, and Buparaka starting its trading tomorrow is also another big thing that we shall be discussing right there. PJ, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Owen. It's a pleasure to be right here. That is live on West Nile TV. And of course, it's all about what transpired yesterday. I know every Ugandan who has a jersey like PJ right now should be putting on it and, of course, moving with heads high, knowing well that it was a mouth-watering clash in which Uganda proved to be that team. And, of course, the coach himself equally proved that he can do it after many failing with the team. And, of course, that is exactly what happened.
Yeah. A lot of things, of course, did see. Now, let's look at what we talked about, how probably the lineup could be like. And just like said, Shaban came into the team. We saw him come. And there was just a slight change because two changes came into the team of Uganda yesterday, but mostly up front. And Uganda, where did you see their mistake first?
Looking at the first half of this very particular game, the onset, the two teams at first they were looking at trying to know what the opponent can do. That is for both sides. You talk about Uganda Cranes at the onset. They were not really so much into attacking. They started with the defensive mentality, not until they got in that 20th minute goal to see that, hey, we can do something out of this. And of course, looking at the second half bit of it, like I told you yesterday, the man Put was so interesting in a way that the changes he made actually proved him right. I think tactically, I believe he has got the best of the team, and each time he makes changes, you will see that impact. After bringing in Alan Okello and the second goal scorer, you'll definitely see there was change, and again, the fight was there up to the closing minutes. Because if you look at the onset of second half, it wasn't easy. Because that was when a team, Congo-Brazzaville, started pressing so hard to see that they actually get that very particular equalizer to see that the game starts afresh. But at the end of the day, you won't rule the fact that the coach was able to identify areas where he can re-energize the team to see that the boys recollect themselves and get in another goal. And that is exactly what happened in the 80th minute. I think that alone made the team to actually build from the back up to front. That is actually the reason as to why they were able to pick 3 maximum points. And of course, clean sheet is what we shall always celebrate, and being on top of the table is one other big factor that we all looked at before the game, and of course, we're enjoying the table.
Uganda got its first goal through the man by the names of Azizi Kayondo in the 21st minute. Probably it was prove things wrong for them, but of course a very clear chance that was wasted by the man who also tried so much, Travis. He tried, he couldn't score the goal right there. And then you did also see the second goal coming in from the substitute who came in the space of, that is Shaban Semugabi, who came into the 80, who scored in the 85th minute for this very country to see that things go in there. Jude Semugabi. Now, for me, I looked at errors in this because just like I did say, you did see, of course, Semakula, of course, coming in, and then Mugabi, who also pushed in there, and then Capradosi alongside Kayondo leading the defense line, and then Sechiganda, Mutiaba, and Aucho all putting in there, and then Omedi and Shaban and Mato all, of course, getting into that is the play right through. Now, my question comes to whatever exactly came through, and for me on this side as Owen, I had one issue that I saw that I had a problem. You can't, you couldn't, I wouldn't see Shaban start ahead of Stephen Dezomukwala because he has been injury prone. Injured. He was not fit to start. Indeed, it showed to the world that yes, it wasn't. But because I see Paul put trust in Mohamed Shaban so much, with even that knock that he had, he still made him to start. But barely, he was also pulled off before even the first half. That shows you that what if someone had gotten a red card? How would you balance? because that is one error, one big mistake that I saw, because I expected Dezom Kuala to start ahead of him and then push things, or maybe get those chances and score the goals because he was limping. But still, it worked out for him. Maybe tactically, he said, okay, maybe because you're not fit, you're not very 100% fit, start so that in case of anything, I pull you off and bring him. And indeed, he pulled off and brought in the man, Semgabi. You did also see him do well. Because he looked at maybe Semgabi, because he has ever played with the Rogers Mato, he has ever played with Omedi, maybe that combination would work out and they would get something. And indeed, he came also scored from that brilliant out-the-boot cross that came from Alan Okello. Yep. And I did hear the commentator say it was an out the boot and in the boot goal. Yep. So that means the combination of out and in came in, and it worked out very well for the team. But all in all, that is the error I first saw. But for the coach, it worked out.
But I think you look at it as an error, but at the same time, tactically, you may also prove him right in a way that if you talk about Mohamed Saban, I remember he was the top scorer of Uganda Premier League last season, and that alone can convince one to always give him that chance to start, because this was a game that Uganda needed to win, and the coach also moved in for this very game knowing for that he wanted to win the game, and that is exactly what happened. Giving him the chance to start and pulling him in the early stages of the game wasn't a bad thing. Looking at the intensity of the game, I think he was able to notice that Mohamed Saban may not deliver what he wants, and that is exactly what he did to bring him, to remove him, and of course getting in somebody who has the energy, who can move on, who can do whatever thing the team deserved yesterday, and that's exactly what he did. So to me, it was both an error and maybe tactical. Should I treat it as a ability, or I don't know. I'm actually lacking words to describe what exactly he did, but the fact will always remain he played his cards well, to see that in the first half he picked he got a goal, and in the second half the changes he should be able to come up with yield fruit for him, and that's the reason as to why he brought in Alan Okello and Semgabi, who put some spirited fight. In fact, it was actually a move from the middle between the two guys that resulted into a goal. So that is worth appreciating. And of course, credits will always go back to the coach who actually made the decision. So that is where we are.
Yeah, it's a very big one. Of course, a task that came through for the team of Congo-Brazzaville. It's one big one. Uganda had gone to Congo-Brazzaville some time back and couldn't really get that win through right there. But elsewhere, you did see DR Congo also winning against Ethiopia 2-0. And then Uganda, Lesotho losing to Morocco by 1-0 as Angola were 2-1 victorious against Sudan. Madagascar played 1-1 with Comoros, Equatorial Guinea 2-2 with Togo, and then Nigeria against Ghana was 1-1 as Gambia lost to Tunisia by 1-0. Now, two teams shall be picked to represent from each group right there. Now probably you book yourself a slot to the African Cup of Nations 2025. Now, very interesting, Lee, is that when you play this, it's going to be one of the biggest things. But it's a home and away affair that is also coming in there. So are we seeing Uganda keeping the momentum? Because that's one big one. Two, you would see that right now Uganda leads the table with 4 points on the table. We are expecting to see them improve, and their next game with Sudan, South Sudan, would be another big one to talk about, because if they win that, they could go up to 7 points at leading that table. Shall we see the consistency level? Because Congo is 3 points, Uganda is 4, and then South Africa is 1, as of course Sudan is also 1 point in there, because South Africa has so far played one game. They will be playing South Sudan in their encounter today.
The fate of Team Uganda Cranes lies on the game that is coming tonight between South Africa and South Sudan. Why am I saying so is because these two teams, if you talk about South Africa, they only have 1 point, though South Sudan is not having a point. So it means if these two teams end up playing a draw, it will give Team Uganda that energy to say we can still do it. And that alone will also make them find ways of playing the next coming games that are coming next month in a better way. So today, every Ugandan every patriotic citizen of this country will always pray for a draw tonight. That is in the game between South Africa and South Sudan. That basically won't rule the fact that South Africa is a team to talk about in this very group, because this is a country that is well established. This is a country or a team that has everything to put things right for themselves. So all will go down to the next coming games, because it is still a long way to go. The point difference are not much. 4. We have South Sudan with nothing, and then South Africa with 0. South Africa with 1. In case they win today, they will be having equal number of points with Team Uganda. So it means there's a lot. It is still too early to say Uganda is going to go through in this very group, or South Africa is the one, or Congo Brazzaville, or even the team South Sudan. So to me, it is still a long way to go for Paul Put as a coach for Team Uganda to see that this is the time Uganda is going to play in the African Cup of Nations.
Yes, it's a very big one, of course, to see. After 10 years, we will want to see whether they can prove themselves to see that they get into this memorable Africa Cup of Nations. But all in all, there's that interesting one today where you'll be seeing a couple of games lined up for Tuesday, September 20th, 24 fixtures that are all right there. The first 2 matches, all the first 2 match days of the 2025 AFCON qualifiers have a lot of things, and the conclusion is today, by the way, with 15 matches across the continent that will be coming in there. For Uganda, they already saw all their games being played, but of course the host will be seeing that, of course, South Sudan will be welcoming Africa's Bafana Bafana in Group K, and then that also Uganda already had. Then the host will also be keen on picking their points to see that they get in there, because they already gotten themselves after Congo Brazzaville in that day, or after winning, of course, against Congo Brazzaville. Congo Brazzaville winning, they got that then. Now there are a lot of matches right now. There's that match at Nambole Stadium where Cameroon's Indomitable Lions will be, of course, taking on that is Warriors of Zimbabwe in that is Group J. Yes, a very big one. And Manchester United's goalkeeper Onana is where you'll be seeing him, and he will be the main center of attraction of for the Premier League fans, who may even go just and watch this game because of Andre Onana, who would be there. And other stars of Cameroon, you could talk about Vincent Aboubakary, who has been one big one, Frank Zambo Anguissa, who is also a Premier League, you did see him do very well, Brian Mbeumo, the one who plays for Crystal, is it Crystal Palace?
Yep.
Yes, he's a very good one. He will be right there. And others who could be coming right there. So that's a very big game, and this is a perfect start for the team. Now let's look at how this is. Yesterday was supposed to be the last day for training at Nambole Stadium for the team of Cameroon.
Yep.
But Uganda also had a game to have in that day, and they had said they would do their training behind closed doors. Now, behind closed doors means that that's where they would be. But because the players have the players couldn't come, there's one thing that has also happened. The thing that has happened is the issue of Uganda having their game yesterday, so they couldn't do, they had to postpone. Now that means they have not done their last day training. And that is one thing that is there. How are you expecting from Zimbabwe and the game Zimbabwe versus that is the Cameroon level? Correct.
Looking at this very game, like you said, every other Premier League fan will want to witness Onana do things in a fun way. You know, one Manchester United fan actually told me that he will only want to buy ticket to watch the game between Cameroon and the team Zimbabwe just because of that space to ask him why he is conceding goals.
We'll even get that time. We'll even get that time to reach Onana.
Anyway, he knows it better.
Maybe we'll shout. We saw that happen in the Africa Cup of Nations where players, where fans were shouting, yep. Onana, Onana, Onana.
Exactly. So I think coming down to the game itself, you know, the team that is Cameroon, if you look at the two meetings with Team Zimbabwe, the game they played in 2017 did see them play a 1-1 draw, and of course after that very particular game in 2021, they beat Zimbabwe by a goal to nil. So it means this very game is coming at a time when Cameroon is having the bragging rights of winning the recent game against Zimbabwe, to see that they will actually capitalize on this, to see that they pick 3 maximum points, also to see themselves leading their table, looking at the round of the games that are ending tonight for them. So it means this very particular game is not going to be an easy one, but I look at Cameroon being taking the upper hand in this very particular game, collecting 3 maximum points, just like what happened for Uganda. You know, when my instincts tell me something, and I don't always lie against it.
Your instincts told you Uganda is going to win.
Yeah, and it happened.
That is, Uganda is like the Manchester United over Uganda itself. So let's wait and see what will happen there. But of course, a very big game it will be. And that is the same group. Namibia will be hosting Kenya. As of course, the RMB Stars will also be looking forward to see that they aim for their first victory. That will be coming right there. So a lot of things that will be coming for this moment, and we shall be expecting a very good one for Nambole and Uganda. Could be making money, or Nambole Stadium will be making money because of all of these moments right through to see that this is where we could be putting in there. About the stadium management, did you love the look of Nambole?
Looking at the state of the stadium right now, I think there's some great improvement. It has never been like that before. And we all looked at, we all see how Uganda suffered last season, trying to play some international games away from the country. But looking at the state of the stadium right now, I think we are somewhere. And given time, I know they are going to improve it, because we are all looking at the World Cup that is coming. That is actually going to be hosted by some of these East African countries. Looking at the facilities, definitely they will have to improve them. Currently, it's not bad, and I love it. And you must know that people outside are also loving it. That's why they are trying to bring their home games at Nambole Stadium. So there's nothing much. Just like you said, this is one area where Uganda is going to generate a lot of revenue, because the fact that you request for somebody's facility to be used, you will definitely pay something, and that is the beauty of things we are looking at right now.
Mr. Mike Letty is going to be in charge of the game to assess the game between, I think, Kenya, and it's very, very interesting for him that he will be traveling to see that this game is, of course, on the right note. So a very tight game it will be, and this is how the games shall be. Let me give you a list of games that will be played today in what is called the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Group D. Let's start with Group, of course, B. That has Gabon taking on, of course, the Central Republic of Africa. And then you have Group C, Botswana against Egypt at 7 p.m. Then you have also Cape Verde against Mauritania at 10 p.m. Whereas Group D has Rwanda against Nigeria at 4 p.m. and Benin will be taking on Libya at 10 p.m. In Group E, you have Liberia that will be taking on Algeria at 7 p.m. And then Group G has also Chad against Ivory Coast, whereas Zambia will be welcoming Sierra Leone at exactly 10 p.m. Group H has Guinea, of course, that will be taking on Tanzania, the Taifas of Tanzania at 7 p.m., whereas Estunin will be welcoming Mali at 4 p.m. In Group I, and Mozambique at 4 p.m. will also take on Guinea-Bissau, whereas in Group J, Namibia will be welcoming Team Kenya, and that game will be at 7 p.m. and Zimbabwe takes on Cameroon at exactly 7 p.m. at Nambole Stadium, because their ground is not okay. They had to come to Uganda. Group K has South Sudan taking on South Africa, and that will be 4 p.m. and Burkina Faso will be taking on Malawi right there. Now, of course, all these are the games in there. Do we see the Taifa Stars survive, because they are going to Guinea to play at 7 p.m.?
It's possible, because like I told you, it's still too early to judge teams to me, because they are all fighting to reach the promised land, and that is qualifying for the African Cup of Nations.
I'm telling you this because DR Congo leads that table with 6 points, and number 2 is Tanzania with 1 point, the Taifa Stars themselves, and then Ethiopia with 1 point, and Guinea having no point. So that's where I want us to base our argument, Anton.
Though the team we are talking about here, Team Tanzania, is having only 1 point. Like I said, if you look at the setup of a Tanzanian team. They are also one of the organized East African teams we can talk about when it comes to some of these competitions. I still have that hope that they can do something in this very particular game to see that they close the gap. 6 points, yep, is the gap, but this can be closed. Like we all know that these games are played home and away, and next round of the games are coming next month. I still have my reservations on teams. I mean, saying this team is not going to qualify and the other one is going to be the one qualifying. But I think the one with already 6 points has an upper hand and the advantage of doing things right for themselves, because here, in most cases, if you look at African Cup of Nations games, some of these games, we have never seen those number of goals scored. It is never there. It's either under, or you will always see draws, a 2-2 draw, 1-0 win, or 2-1 win. Those are the goal. I mean, the goal margins that always come. But all in all, I'm still looking at a very tight context for the progress of these teams.
Kenya goes to Namibia, who have not also gotten any win, but Kenya has at least a draw against Zimbabwe, where they had a 1-1 in right. I mean, they had a draw of 0-0, and then of course they are right at number 2. How different shall this game be? How tough shall this game be, according to your assessment of the two teams?
Namibia, Kenya, yeah. We all know that they all have they all have their moments. If you look at the last time they played, the last time they played, it was Kenya winning against Namibia 1-0. That was way back in 2013. That was a win for Team Kenya. That was when they were at home. And again, if you look at the previous year before 2013, it was a win for Namibia. So it means these two teams, they at least have hope that this is my size, and we have ever done it, and we can still do it. So it means this very particular game, I'm seeing a draw coming in this very game, because these are teams that know their strengths, and of course, looking at the context right now, I mean the contest right now, it's not easy. So a draw is a possibility in this very particular game.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we shall be